Good afternoon there. How are you doing? All right, so awesome. So we went through all our orthopedic tests. We did all our X-raying. We did all our range of motion testing, and so now I'm actually going to tell you what I found with that. So I'm just going to start from the top down, and that way we can just kind of cover it all. That way we know what's going on with you. That way you know what's going on with you. You know how I'm going to help you, and you know kind of where we're going and how we're progress going that way. So we're going to start with your head, with your cervical spine. So you struggled with your right lateral bend. So turning like this, you're only about 35 degrees. And you're really supposed to be about 45. But then you also had a right rotational problem as well, which you were short on that as well. So typically that can either be from tight musculature or even lower cervical. So what we're going to do, and even when your x-ray actually showed that your first rib is out, so that could actually be hurting that as well. So that's one thing we are going to work on. Another thing is I did the shoulder depression test. So with that first rib being out, it's probably affecting the nerves that actually go down your arm. So with that was on your left side was positive. And so with that left side being positive, the nerves are being affected that will actually run down the arm and actually innervate and actually make your arm move, what you feel in the arm, stuff like that. So that actually kind of played into, now one of those might be just what's causing the other, and another one just might be just a compensation and what's happening from another. So next we're going to go into your shoulder. So your shoulder, obviously you had that first rib out, but for your shoulder and your left arm flexion, so that was just going straight up, you struggled with that one in the left arm because you were short in both, but your left arm was worse, and you've told me how you have radiating pain down that as well. So you're short, you're about 160, about 20 degrees short on that one, and then also in the abduction, so going up like this, and then as well as external rotation, you're short. So I think what that actually might be due to is I think you might have tendinitis, and also your biceps tendon is actually just popping out. So actually just to confirm what I was saying, I did the Jorgensen's test. And so essentially that was the test. I just kind of felt it, and I felt a pop with it. I heard the click, I felt it. So I think you actually have that. So one thing we're gonna do is just kind of work on your shoulder positioning and where you're sitting whenever you are positioned in there. Because when I took your x-rays, when I took your lateral x-rays, it kind of shows your shoulders are rolled forward more. And I think that's partially because, like you said, you do work at a desk as an accountant. So then sitting like that kind of rolls everything forward. So one thing that we're actually going to have you do is we're actually have you sit up straight. Especially when you're at your desk, just sit there. That way, not everything starts to roll forward. And so that's actually going to help your first rib as well. That way everything's just not translating forward. That way you're not rolling everything forward and kind of help hurting yourself by just putting yourself out of position. So one thing we're going to do is we're going to be working on your shoulders. We're also going to be working on your elbows and wrist, because those can also affect it as well. You did tell me about having pain that ran down, and I think a lot of the symptoms that you're having is actually because your nerves are just you're super irritated, and so they're causing the rest of your arm to be very, very uncomfortable. And so we actually want to alleviate that. So I think what we're going to focus on is doing your lower cervicals a lot, and then doing your first rib like I said, so that way that doesn't interfere with it. But then also adjusting your shoulders, your elbows, and your wrist, so that way every part of your hand, and that way once the nerves aren't as irritated up here, they won't hurt down here. They won't hurt in your hand, they won't hurt in your arm, and you won't have that pain, and you won't have the stinging and numbing feeling. So then we move down to your spine, your chest area, your back, your mid back. So what I found was you were rolled over more. So again, like I said before, whenever you sit at your desk, whenever you walk, whenever you're up and moving, I want you to actually sit up like this. And one thing I did notice was that your scapulas are starting to wing, so they're starting to go out. So one thing I would like you to start doing is whenever you go to the gym, because you said how you go to the gym about 3 to 4 times a week, whenever you go to the gym, I want you to do a form of row, so that way you are retracting your scapulas, and that way your musculature can actually pull your scapulas back to where they're supposed to be. And so, and also by doing that, that's going to help with a lot of your shoulder issues, your neck issues, all of it. So that's just going to be an overall thing that's actually going to be very helpful for you to kind of, the fix of holding yourself more upright is going to help you with a lot of your issues. So then another thing I noticed was your hips are a little wonky right now. So right now you were complaining about pain in your right leg. So with that, I tested the flexibility, both of them, and your hip flexion was not great in that right as compared to your left. And I think what's going on is you just have your hips are off kiltered. So with your hips being off kiltered, it's hard. You're gonna have more pain because things are being stretched out more than supposed to, and opposite sides being compressed more than supposed to. So that's what's causing the pain for you. And then another thing I noticed was on your left side, you had super tight hamstrings. I mean, super tight hamstrings. So one thing I'm gonna have you start doing is, one thing I'm gonna recommend that you start doing, one thing I'm gonna recommend that you start doing is that you actually start stretching. Stretching on a regular basis, stretching whenever you get up in the morning, and stretching when you go right before you go to bed. So that's actually just stretch for 10 to 15 minutes. It's not long. I realize it might seem like that, but like once you get doing it and it becomes part of your normal routine, you're gonna feel a whole lot better. It's gonna help your hips because you sit a lot. And so sitting a lot does tend to tighten up, does tend to tighten your glutes, your low back, your hamstrings, all of it, because it's more in a contracted state. Also recommend you could possibly look at getting a standing desk, because that might help you as well. Or just every 30 minutes to an hour, just get up and walk around for a couple of minutes. So those are the things that I've noticed with you. These are things I'm going to work on by adjusting. So with that, I want you to come in 2 times a week. So that way I get to see you 2 times a week, and we actually get to work on you and kind of see how you're progressing and seeing how your body's actually adapting to the impulses that are being put into it, to see if they are, to see if it's changing, to see if it's actually getting better, to see if it's getting worse, kind of to see where you are to help. Another thing I'm going to start doing whenever you come in the office is that you actually we're actually going to be doing a hot pad. So we're going to be doing a heating pad on your upper back. So that way it kind of relaxes everything. So that way we can get everything set back in place. So you're just going to come check in, and then you're going to come back. I'm going to have the person up front, and they're going to actually set a hot pad on you and kind of let that soak in for you. So we're going to do 2 times a week. We're going to keep that up for 6 weeks, and then we're going to see how you're adjusting, how your body's adapting, and kind of overall how you're feeling and how much of an improvement you see in your life making all these changes. Of course, make sure you always drink water. make sure you move. You said that you work out. So just make sure that you exercise at least 30 minutes every day. So that way you're keeping your body moving, because remember, a body motion stays in motion. So that's what we're going to start doing when actually works best for you. Awesome. Well, then I will see you for your first adjustment then. Otherwise than that, you have an amazing day. Be safe driving. Be safe being out and about in this crazy world with all the coronavirus. And I look forward to our next visit. Thank you.